To respond, I've actually debated Doug, and he's on the yes on Proposition 227 side. And actually, Ron Unz is misinformed because not one school district, not one teachers organization across the state of California has supported Proposition 227. The California Teachers Association opposes it. The California PTA opposes it. Every good government group, the League of Women Voters, opposes Proposition 227 because they know it won't teach children English. It hasn't taught children English where it's been tried. And they're saying, why impose a single statewide law that mandates children can only be taught one way?
Okay, very good. We're going to move back to our audience. Linda Breakstone.
Let's go to Martha Arabello here. Martha, what was your question?
My question is for Holli Thier. You mentioned that $50 million for every year for 10 years will be taken out of the educational fund. Where is that money exactly going to come out of? What programs?
Yes, this is very important to recognize because Proposition 227 takes all the money that's spent on bilingual education today, puts it into Ron Unz's failed sink or swim program. On top of that, it appropriates an additional $50 million a year, every year, for the next 10 years to individuals who pledge to tutor a child in English. There's no accountability for that money. There's no process. And basically, you just sign a pledge card and you get some money. And that money will come from textbooks, from reducing class sizes, from putting public safety officers on the street. That money comes out of the general fund budget of the state of California.
Mr. Unz, sounds pretty risky. What about that?
Our opponents are so desperate now getting close to the election that they're making up the most ridiculous lies and distortions about our initiative. Our initiative will save hundreds of millions of dollars a year because that's the cost of these failed bilingual programs. By pulling the plug on the programs, we save the money. Then we use some of those savings, a few percent of those savings, give it to local school districts to fund adult English literacy programs. Normally, adult literacy programs are motherhood and apple pie, but our opponents think adult literacy programs are the worst part of our initiative, and that shows how desperate they are.
Ms. Thier, pretty strong language. Lies and distortions?
You know, I think those are desperate statements by a desperate campaign that's going down on June 2nd. And what really is happening here is that Ron Unz has been moving away from what he's written into his initiative. And I'm sorry he didn't write a process for handing out that money, but that's a lot of money to hand out without a process, with no accountability, and with no strings attached. And taking money away from teaching children English, away from the schools, and giving it to individuals, the California Teachers Association, the PTA, every major educational organization thinks that that won't teach children English, and we agree.
Okay, Mr. Unz, quick response before I get back to the audience.
We have a secret weapon. It's called your voter pamphlet. It gives our arguments, the opposition arguments. It comes from the state of California, and it actually contains the text of our initiative. Read your voter pamphlet, and then you'll vote for us.
Okay, we're going back to the audience. Back to Kitty Feldy.
You bet. Cindy Aguirre has a question.
Yes, Mr. Unz, how do you account for the wealthy sending their children to bilingual schools or immersion schools?
Well, I think it's a very good thing for young children to learn more than one language, to learn important world languages like German, like Chinese, like Spanish. But it must be voluntary, and also the children must be taught English. What we call bilingual education in California often is Spanish-only instruction, where the children are taught almost no English, and that's something that their parents need for them to learn. We support programs that teach children English, but most of these bilingual programs fail to do that.
Ms. Thier, your response?
Actually, the only program that Ron Unz supports is his own failed program. Now, across the state of California today, there are thousands of programs that are working, that are teaching children English. What we want is we want to take those programs and impose them, have people use those statewide. Right now, districts have the flexibility to choose between programs that are working and programs that are not working. If Proposition 227 passes, all of that choice, parental choice, teachers' choices, and local districts' choice will be taken away, and a single statewide law will be imposed.
Okay, we're going to go back to our audience. Back to Linda Breakstone.
This is prompting some things here. Rita Gaines.
Hi, my question is for Ron. He said there's 140 different languages and there's not enough teachers to teach that. If you're going to put all the kids in the one-size-fit-all, are the teachers just going to be English-speaking teachers? How will they communicate with the kids with the 140 different languages?
Well, right now, under the current system, almost all of the students in the public schools in those languages receive no bilingual education. The only group of students that receive large quantities of bilingual instruction are Spanish-speaking children, yet they're the immigrant group that does the worst in school, partly because of the failings of bilingual instruction. If you take children from all these different language groups, you can teach them English together. It's a good thing if the teachers know the child's native language, but it's not essential. Bilingual programs don't work because you need a teacher to speak all of those 140 different languages, and that is physically impossible.
Ms. Thier, your
Well,
response?
I'm glad Ron's not running for superintendent of public instruction. I know that he ran for governor and lost against Pete Wilson and has never stepped foot into a bilingual education classroom prior to drafting his Proposition 227. However, Proposition 227 will not teach children English. You're exactly right. The children will be speaking all different languages, all different backgrounds, all different ages in one classroom with a teacher that talks at them in English but doesn't teach them English. A certain amount of native language instruction actually helps children acquire English faster, as well as keep them current on their academic subjects.
Okay, let me get a response from Mr. Unz on that.
That's nonsense. Our initiative neither requires nor encourages children of different ages to be mixed together. The children are placed in intensive English classes. They're 5 or 6 years old in most cases. They're taught English very quickly and easily. And after a few months or a year, once they've learned enough English to be able to do regular schoolwork in English, they're moved into the regular classes with all the other students. That works. It's the standard in every other major country in the world. No one uses bilingual education except the United States. They don't use it because it's failed.
Okay, we're going to go back to our audience. Kitty Feldy.
Chairman, we have some input from the superintendent of the Long Beach schools, Carl Cohen. Mr. Cohen?
Mr. Unz, let's concede that the status quo needs fixing. Why is your new brand of state tyranny superior to local efforts to improve in this area?
The local districts are completely wedded to the failed system of bilingual instruction. A few months ago, the State Board of Education, under pressure from our initiative, decided to stop enforcing the mandatory bilingual law because it had expired 11 years ago. Now, we believe it's a good idea to stop enforcing a law which expired 11 years ago. But when they did so, every major school district in the state said that they would continue their bilingual programs because they were happy with their programs. LA Unified won't change a thing unless our initiative passes. It's our initiative or the status quo.
Okay, Ms. Thier, you want to respond to that?
Actually, voters do have a choice on June 2nd, and I think that the California League of Women Voters recognized that when they said no to Proposition 227. And what Proposition 227 will do is, for the first time in 11 years, impose a single statewide law dictating how children will be educated and how they will be taught English. It will limit them to just 180 days of English instruction. It will deny them any education in math, science, or history. They will forever be left 1 year behind their other children in the class, and it will also allow teachers to be sued just for doing their job, just for trying to teach kids English. We want the voters to give children a chance. Vote no on Proposition 227.
Okay, Ms. Thier, Mr. Unz, I want to thank you both for helping us with this discussion. I also want to thank members of the audience, because these are a number of people in Southern California who are very, very involved in this controversial initiative, Proposition 227, all about bilingual education. We are now going to move to Yolanda Nava.